meeting will come to order. The mayor is going to be a little bit late. Today is July the 22nd, 2013, and the time is 5:30. Who's giving the invocation?
Reverend Slaughter.
Okay.
Reverend Slaughter.
Who?
Reverend Slaughter. Reverend Slaughter.
Okay.
There he is.
We're ready for someone to give the invocation.
Okay. Did you already announce did you call the meeting to order?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Slaughter is going to give the invocation, followed by Dr. Grossnickel for the Pledge of
Let
Allegiance.
us all stand. Father God in heaven, we come at this time, O Lord, thanking you for your many blessings upon this city, this great county of Lamar County in Paris, Texas. And Lord God, we pray tonight that this meeting will be done decent and in order, that you would look down and look into the hearts of each and every person gathered here today, that everyone would be with one accord and be in good mind and good spirit. Lord God, bless the hearts of those who have been given authority over us, our city councilmen and women, that they might rule and do the things that we would have in our hearts and desires, that things would be done well and pleasing in your sight. Lord God, we thank you right now. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is our computer system there? Not coming? Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Item number 4 on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff member with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. Please come forward, write your name and address for the record. Ms. Clem.
Is this on?
I'm sorry?
Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me? Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the audience, staff, my remarks are directed primarily at the subject of including retail in Paris economic development efforts. And please bear in mind that when the PEDC budget was voted on in our regular board meeting, 3 out of the 5 of us voted to include retail. The suggestion that we don't need to recruit retail that might be in competition with existing business is ludicrous. If we had practiced that in previous years, we wouldn't have half of what is here now. Competition is the crux of American capitalism. It's what holds prices down and ensures product improvement. You can't tell me that you don't want an IHOP or Red Lobster or Dillard's to take a look at us, or someone who might even compete with Walmart. Moreover, retail is jobs. Retail is all about jobs, and that's the primary work of the PDC. We get lucky every now and then and nab a good manufacturer or industry, but much of the growth in cities and towns is retail, and the PDC does not offer retail either incentives or abatements. The Economic Development Agency in Texas that does not include retail in its efforts is very rare indeed. When Mrs. Clifford came on board and began questioning their appropriateness, our executive director immediately sought support for the inclusion of these efforts, even speaking with the attorney in Fort Worth, Jeff Moore, who had been on the Attorney General's staff during the period in which regulations governing activities of Type A and Type B organizations was created, and retail was included. Mrs. Clifford was not interested in that report. or insinuation that the Paris Economic Development Corporation Board has somehow been doing things wrong or illegal has been nothing but a bullying tactic that I, for one, am tired of. For those of you who don't know, the PEDC doesn't write checks. They come out of the city finance office, Gene's office. Gene's office issues our financial report. The PEDC is audited annually by McClanahan and Holmes and passes with flying colors. The city attorney sits in on every meeting of the PEDC unless he's ill and is involved with all documents and contracts that are generated. There's a concerted effort afoot to discredit Steve Gilbert and the PEDC and those who periodically come on board to help with our activities. This is nothing but a spurious attempt to control the PEDC as it was incorporated in previous city documents. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Clem.
Evening. My name is Jeff Kent. Thank you for letting me have your time. I'm asking for your consideration, my family's asking for consideration, into looking into adding a dog park to the city of Paris. We've recently moved to Paris the last 6 months. We moved from the Metroplex where we were able to visit several dog parks, large and small. We noticed they're a great asset and a draw to the community. Several of our neighborhoods in Paris do not have sidewalks, making it unsafe to walk a dog in the streets. If a dog park was added to Paris, several of our four-legged friends would benefit from the exercise and ability to meet new friends, plus we meet new friends. Dog parks are proven to aid in behavioral issues with dogs. We'd like to have them look at actually having 1 acre of land, splitting the dog park into 2 for smaller dogs. 1 acre of land would be a perfect size. There's plenty of land all over Paris. It could be used to take something that's dilapidated, turn it into something beautiful, or over where Love Center is. That's a beautiful and ideal place for it. You've got the walking trail, there's ample parking already, plenty of activities to do. If the dog park was put in there, they could have some sort of little water areas for the dogs. You walk them on the trails, you go over, you sit, you visit. The dogs have a place to play. We would actually be interested in getting, and we're doing it this time, having people Facebook to see how much of a need there is, because I've talked to hundreds of people, and they've said, yeah, they can't believe we don't have one. We would raise the money to fence in the property. We'd get donations from the different area stores that are around here. We'd also look at it as an alternative to grass, because grass is costly and it does disappear, that you could use a decomposed granite, which is what a lot of the dog parks are using. Doesn't cost much to maintain at all. And you know, currently in Paris we have parks for children, for skateboarders, for soccer, and for baseball. How come we don't have anything for the dogs? So we'd like for your consideration in that. If you could please put it on the agenda. Anything, we will give you all kinds of information, and hopefully y'all will look into that for us.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
appreciate
Kent.
your time.
Thank you. Obviously, it's not on the agenda right now, so we can't respond, but
Right.
the thoughts are great, and we'll get back to you.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sir.
Anybody else wants to address the Citizens Forum?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christy Jones. I currently attend Texas A&M Commerce at the Master's Program for Social Work. As part of the program, I'm taking a class called Organizations, Communities, and Social Policy. A requirement of the class is a presentation to a body of local policy decision makers of an identified problem, assessment data, and proposed solution. So the identified problem that I chose was the non-existence of transitional housing for families. I know that our county currently has housing units for women with children, and at one time even a housing unit for men, separate from the families. I am unaware of any transitional units for families, and in emergency situations, a family has no resources to finding shelter. It may take up to a month or more to be accepted into the current housing units, such as the George Wright homes. Families who are struggling with homelessness do not have any options for emergency housing that I am aware of. And the assessment data, just according to the United States Census Bureau, the 2002 population for Lamar County was 49,811 people. As of 2011, there were 22,520 housing units. That leaves about 4% of the population who possibly have no housing. My solution was to propose to ask for a task force to be formed and to research the social problem. And the task force could be made of volunteers, of which I would, of course, volunteer to be one, along with other key members of the community. After completing the research, the task force could provide viable options to resolve the problem. The information would be presented to the City Council and go from there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anyone else wants to address? If there's nobody else wanting to address, the Citizens Forum is now closed. We'll move to the next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. Any of the council members have any questions on the consent agenda? Ms. Drake?
No, sir.
Mr. Frierson?
No, sir.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No, sir.
We have missed you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lancaster?
No, sir.
Mr. Jenkins?
No, sir.
Mr. Wright?
No.
I'll take a motion on this item then.
Mr. Mayor, may I interrupt you for 1 minute? There's a correction on the minutes for June the 24th, which is page 10.
Okay.
And it needs to read 17 million, not 17,000. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Page 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll take the motion with the correction.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. We next move on to the regular agenda. Item number
Mr.
12
Mayor.
is presentation and
Mayor.
discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to, but I didn't get to see you
No, no,
before the
go ahead.
meeting. Is there any chance we could move item 16 up to the next item on the agenda? Camel Soup has some
Yeah,
executives
actually,
here.
that's what I was going to do. But I was just thinking that we'll let the budget be presented. Is it going to be a long presentation? Sure. Because we're not discussing it today. It's just, and then we'll move that item on. Actually, that was the plan. Jean, you're going to make it short?
Yes.
Okay. So item number 12 is presentation and discussion of 2013-14 budget for the City of Paris. Mr. Anderson.
Mayor and Council, you've been provided with a copy of the proposed budget for 2013-14. In this budget, the council has kept the promises that it made to the voters concerning this last bond election, that if they passed the bond election, that there would be no increase in the tax rate, nor any increase in the water and sewer rates. And we anticipate, once we get the certified appraisal values from Lamar County Appraisal District, that we'll actually be able to lower the tax rate slightly. It is a balanced budget. It's a very lean budget in accordance, I think, with the general idea the council had. The general fund budget is actually $307,000 less than the current budget. So we've been very careful with the money. I took into consideration the different things that the council members have spoken to me about. I also took into consideration indications from Mr. Godwin on the direction he wanted to go with the budget when I was putting this together, and I think I've done that. The primary thing that I would like to ask the council to do tonight is, if possible, set some dates for some budget workshops, one or more, so that we can talk about it in detail as much as y'all want to.
Thank you. Any comments from any of the council members?
Anytime after next week.
Why don't you email us
Some
tentative?
possible dates?
Yeah,
Okay.
possible dates, and we can go from there.
But not next week, Mr. Ryan?
Not next
I
week.
can't be here next week.
Okay.
This is not an action item, so we'll move. Now I'll ask somebody to make a motion to move item 16 up.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 16 is conduct a public hearing and discuss and act on a resolution nominating Campbell Soup as the enterprise project. Mr. Gilbert. Oh, Ms. Shannon.
Steve Gilbert is on a much-needed vacation, so I'm here to kind of get the Enterprise Zone program, tell you kind of what it is and who's here to speak tonight. The Texas Enterprise Zone program is an economic development tool for local communities to partner with the state of Texas
to promote job creation and capital investment in economically distressed areas of the state. Local communities must nominate a company as an enterprise project to be eligible to participate in the Enterprise Zone program. The current deadline for this, the Campbell Soup is wanting to participate is September 3rd of 2013. And communities may nominate projects for a designation period of up to 5 years. And it is revenue neutral. Essentially, you make the nomination and they qualify to get the 6.25% sales tax back on their capital improvements for this project. It's my understanding it's a $27 million project with 50 employees, and that times 6.25% can be very substantial to any industry or company. It's no different than what you've awarded for Kimberly-Clark and Skinner in the last 12 or 14 months. And I would like to introduce to you Ray Oldak, the plant manager, and Richard Quarles, the comptroller for Campbell Soup.
Mr. Oldak, you want to say a few words?
It would be my pleasure. One more time, we're at the City Council asking for help, but it's help for a good cause. You know, we have a new production system we're in the process of putting into our factory at Campbell Soup, and you know, we're looking for for you to assist us in the Enterprise Zone Act, so we can help keep defraying our costs out there and continue to have the opportunity to keep growing in here in the Paris community. And I think everybody knows we've had a lot of great success out there in the last couple of years out there. So again, we're just asking for your help one more time.
Thank you so much. Any of the council members have any questions of Mr. Oldak? Thank you, Mr. Oldak. I declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone wishing to speak in support of this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. If there's anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. If there's nobody wanting to speak for or against, the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to have a motion on this item, please.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is?
I make a motion we nominate Campbell Soup as an enterprise project.
Seconded by Ms. Drake?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you for coming, Mr. Oldak. Item number 13 is discuss possibility of the City of Paris funding the R3BI incubator not to exceed an amount of $89,000 in fiscal year 2013. Mr. Wright.
I was going to ask someone, and if Mr. Gilbert's not here, it might not be possible to explain how the area works and what other parts of the area are doing to help fund it.
Do we need to type in this?
Could you repeat that? We didn't hear you.
I was going to ask that since the incubator is an area project, that someone that has the knowledge about how it's funded and then what part other areas that it reaches into, what part they would participate in the funding would make the council knowledgeable of that.
Is Mr. Betke here? No, he's not. Okay.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I
Sure.
think Sydney Young is
Sure.
here. She might be able to speak
Yes,
to
Ms.
that.
Young.
I don't have that information in front of me. I'm sorry, I would have brought it if I'd realized you were going to ask that question. But I can tell you that PEDC is not the only funding that the incubator has. We get money from the clients. We get money from sponsors from the city. I don't know how much of that budget that is, but I can tell you PEDC does not sponsor the entire budget. Also, I met with Dr. Anglin and with Rebecca Clifford last week for about 2 hours talking about what we could do to discuss, to figure out a way to work on this funding because it does come from more than one source. And so we are meeting again tomorrow to figure out a matrix for the incubator to actually be able to check off so that we can show which clients meet PEDC funding if we ever get it again, and then which clients meet other areas. So that's definitely a part of the discussion. I also want to, I'm sorry.
I don't know about the rest of the council, but that would be very informative for me.
I think so. And I do want to tell you, Ms. Clifford came to our board meeting on Thursday, and I think we had a great board meeting. I would invite any of you to come again in August when we have another one. Very informative, hardworking board, excited board. You learn a lot. I think her eyes were really open to what all is going on, and we'd love to share the information with you all. So,
thank you, Ms. Young.
thank you.
Actually, before we go further, I'll give my opinion on this one, since I voiced it last time too. I'm not against the incubator by any means. I'm just against the way the incubator was being funded, which is what I said last time and which is what I'm going to again repeat this time. And I also believe that cutting off their funding without giving them some time is a bad idea, and that is why I had agreed with Mr. Wright when he made the motion last time, and that the incubator, what PEDC was funding, the incubator was $89,000, that the city should pick up that cost of $89,000 so that they are not cut off, but with a time limitation of 9 months, during which time they need to find some alternate funding. Obviously, there has to be a proper contract between the city and the incubator as far as this is concerned. So I'll still say I'm not opposed to it, and I think once the contract is done, my thoughts would be to bring it back to the council for approval. With that said, Mr. Jenkins.
Copy of the ballot that where it was voted in.
Okay.
If anybody would like to see it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jenkins, any comments?
I'm okay with everything you said.
Okay. Ms. Lancaster?
Yeah, I think we should have a contract to make it legal to hand them city money.
Dr. Gross-Nickel?
Yeah, I believe that, I know it says to not exceed $89,000, so it would be helpful to know how much anticipated income there is from donations and other, people who contribute money to its operations, so that we could perhaps reduce that $89,000 rather than assuming it'll be that much.
I just had thought of $89,000 just because that was the funding that PEDC was providing.
That was their budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ms. Young, I think, is going to bring something back to us on this.
I'll be happy to. I would ask for maybe a date that I could have
Sure.
it back by so that I know.
We'll give plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Frierson.
Dr. Hosmer, actually, I have the proposed 2013-14 operating budget for the incubator, and if my numbers are correct very quickly, it looks like 40% of their income comes from sources outside of PEDC. I believe it totals just over $39,000 in sponsorships and $22,000 in program service fees. So,
Mr. Frierson, can you please repeat the numbers one more time?
Sure. The proposed operating budget for 2013-14 would be $39,572 in sponsorships and $22,000 in program service fees, which is approximately 40% of their revenue stream. And just so I can be clear, what I'm hearing is everyone saying that to move forward with the incubator, nobody has any huge issues except for making sure the contract language is sufficient.
That's my opinion, but
I'm just listening, going down the road. I haven't heard a big objection about that.
I would repeat the same thing, that
well,
yes, I have no objections to it.
Okay, well, it's just obviously a very big deal, and I just want to make sure I was receiving the information.
Do you have the numbers on what other areas are contributing?
No, sir, I simply have the budget, which they just, I don't know where those sponsorships or program service fees are coming from. No.
Ms. Drake. Mr. Frierson, I'm sorry, are you done?
I don't know that I have any questions at this time, no, sir.
Yeah, I don't have any questions at this time. Would like to hear the report back from Ms. Young and then just make sure everything is going forward.
Thank you. So if I can take and speak for the council and say that we would request Gene to come with some sort of contract, and once Mr. Wright has received all the information that he wants to see, then we can bring it back to the council as an agenda item and move forward with it or discuss it as needed. Am I speaking for all? Everybody is in agreement for that? Okay.
Mayor, may I add something? That if the council's going to look at this funding the incubator as part of a 380 grant program, which the city of Paris has never done before, you all will need to develop some policies and guidelines for that 380 program before the contract.
Okay. I think we need to be properly educated on what policies do we need to bring into.
Okay.
We can put it on the
Let's
agenda
put it
for
on the
next time.
agenda.
Yeah, we could, or we could also talk about it as part of the budget workshop, because we're talking about fiscal year 13-14
Okay.
for the funding.
You know a
because
good lawyer we could get?
We'll find one, but they're fully funded up through through this fiscal year.
All right. So I suppose this item, I'm going to ask a motion to table this item till we have what? Well, we're going to table this item for the time being and then bring it back to the council once the contracts, et cetera, are drawn. So moving next, item number 14 is review and discuss draft map of reinvestment zone for residential tax abatement. Mr. McEllier.
Mayor and City Council, the last special session that we had, I think the council came to a consensus on the criteria for the residential tax abatement program. We'll bring that back in final form to you on August 12th for your vote. And we also have this reinvestment zone map that you all started working on at the last work session, in which engineering staff is kind of put in your packet here to look at in a smaller version. And this meeting is really just if you all have any more comments or changes for your reinvestment zone map before we finalize it for August 12th.
Can somebody move the map a little bit up so that we can see this little corner here? Maybe reduce the size. Can you unzoom it a little? Okay. No, unzoom.
Other way.
Bigger.
Which corner do you want?
I want you to go negative. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Okay, thank you. Okay. I'll say one thing before we start on this. The purpose of doing this was to encourage growth in the blighted areas of town. The intention of this was not by any means to be against any individuals or not encourage development. At least that was my thought process. And so I think if anyone feels that it is being done to target anyone, please take this out of your mind. It's not being done to target anyone. It's being done to encourage growth in underdeveloped areas or blighted areas of the town, which is what the thought process was to do this. If anyone feels otherwise, I'm sorry, but I don't think the area that I live in is a blighted area, and I don't think I deserve a tax break there. So with that said, Mr. Wright.
I'm happy with the map as drawn.
Mr. Jenkins?
I agree. I mean, the area that we agreed upon, I think that's the best area.
Ms. Lancaster?
I certainly think it covers the areas that we need to help homeowners fix their houses and improve the city by doing that. So I'm happy with the map right now.
Dr. Grossnickel?
Since I had a vacation scheduled months ago, I was unable to attend this planning session on this. The only areas I might consider adding might be something out North Main toward Lake Crook along the 271 North. I don't know if that would be an area where there's enough housing, but there are homes out that way, and they might benefit from some stimulation out in that area.
If I can make a suggestion to you, I think the idea is good, but I think they've put in a lot of effort to do this. Do you think maybe we could just add or subtract at a later point?
Absolutely. We could just go with this and proceed. Yes.
Mr. Frierson?
A couple of things. First of all, I think that everybody is on the right page. Encouraging development in Paris is certainly a good thing. A question two actually came to my attention in, like Dr. Gross-Nicolai also went on vacation, so I missed this meeting, but the Citizens Committee that...
Mr. Friedman, you were there at this meeting.
Was I?
Yes.
This meeting,
Yes.
last one.
No, I know that for this.
Yeah.
But before that, there was a Citizens Committee
Okay.
that met on
Yeah.
June,
Mhm.
that gave a presentation on June
Yeah.
24th.
Yeah.
Did they, what was their resolution as it relates to this?
It was, yeah, Mr. Wright.
Each person wrote their comments and gave them to Jim Bell, and I don't know what he did with them.
His basic consensus was tax abatement throughout the city. The gist of it was that.
Okay.
The problem that I personally felt with that was that if we want growth in a certain direction, it was contrary to what we wanted to do. And that may be his suggestion, but it was not the idea. The purpose of the tax abatement that I had in my mind was different.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things that we certainly mentioned, and, you want growth in Paris, you want growth in a certain way, and then we kind of closer defined reinvestment zone, so, but I did want to point out that those guys were nice enough to donate their time. The second question, actually, and we didn't really discuss this last time, was, that was brought to my attention, some of these areas are more historical. They're not necessarily in the historical district, but in older homes, kind of going along Fitzhugh and Pine Bluff and those things. We didn't really set any requirements to keep the character of the neighborhood. They're not necessarily in the historical district, which is kind of a fine line, I guess, for lack of a better term, but to maintain the character of the city and the thoroughfares, you have a chance to really chop that up. And I don't know if there's a way to go about that, keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhoods or not, but it certainly came to my attention, and it's not a bad thought. The homes in, the eastern portion of the designation are different than towards the city center. Is there any, is there any way without them being in the historic district to, not regulate, because I hate to use that word, but the characteristics of the homes that, let's just say a new property went up?
If it's, Councilman Frierson, if it's not included in a historic district right now, or it's not separately individually designated as a historic district or a historic property, it's not going to require any, it's not going to require HPC review or separate, certificates of appropriateness.
Yeah.
That's really something separate. If you all want to look at, adding areas to your historic districts, that's really
well, if we're encouraging growth, and thanks for bearing with me, but if we're encouraging growth, Alan, would you mind asking, can I just ask you a couple questions? Is there any way to tell what that's going to do?
Yes, if I understand your question correctly, there are standards and criteria that are used to define historic areas in the United States. The tools that are traditionally used you already know about. Zone them as a special historic district, which requires certain kinds of elements that have to remain. Then there's also state and federal regulations that may be applied, in which case there'll be certain designations. Another tool that's oftentimes used is historic overlay zoning district, where you may have a residential area. And I suspect, Councilman Frierson, this may be what you may be talking about, areas that have tinges or characteristics of historic areas, but they're not a full historic region, but there's components that need to be preserved historically. And the tool that's used there is you keep the base underlying zoning, SF2, MF1, whatever it is, but then you apply an overlay zone whereby only certain elements can be used, certain kind of paint, certain kinds of opportunities on redevelopment or changes in the house, windows, etc. So those are the two essential tools. Essentially, yes, there are criteria that are used to define both historic districts per se and historic overlay zoning district. Those are the two basic tools used in the United States.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
It does to an extent, and Sue, you and Aaron in my district, and John too, I don't mean to exclude anybody, but we have certain characteristics that within the neighborhoods that, I mean, personally, I'd like to be maintained. I mean, I'm mostly in the historic district, but is that something that'd be worthwhile to you guys to kind of incorporate into this? Or if it's even possible, I don't even know.
I don't know what avenue you could use, but I'd like to keep the characteristics of the houses that are there, and when we come back with infill, I'd like for it to fit in.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how you would do that without a complete overlay.
Well, but is that the worst thing in the world? I mean,
Well, I helped with the overlay of your district,
Yeah.
and it was a tough
I
go.
remember, I remember that, but you know, with the greater good being in mind, I'm just curious.
Yeah. We had intended to go further and do Pine Bluff and that, but there was just not a good response at that time.
If I might add, there's another tool that's used less commonly because it's harder to define, where you have a base zoning district and the site or structure itself within that district, while not changing the base zoning of the district itself is designated as historic. Now, one other footnote, and this is well accepted in historic preservation planning. You don't have to look to standards just for state or federal requirements. A municipality can create its own social, cultural, or historic standards on its own. And it's then up to the municipality to enforce or implement those. Those are the major tools.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Frierson, if you're done, Ms. Drake?
No, I'm okay with this. I still have 2 areas in my district that I would like to see added at some point.
Thank you. I like your idea, but what I would say about it is that we are trying to encourage growth, and I want to make life easy for people to do it as quickly as possible. And I think when you start putting restrictions on it, the likelihood of them going through red tape, or I think if we can have code enforcement, enforce the codes that we currently have and make sure that those are followed, at least for now, they're good for me as far as I'm concerned. But I think the idea is good to maintain the whatever historic.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for the characteristics and
absolutely.
moving forward. And if you lose those even a little bit, you know, you don't ever get a chance to get them back.
Yeah, I'm not sure though. How do you have to have a whole new set of rules and regulations made?
Well, no, I don't know that it necessarily impacts this zone as much as it does an overlay on top of it. I mean, so it'd be almost independent of this particular piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. I want to go further forward with this to find out how the council wants to proceed with it. Do I have a motion on this item, or do people want to discuss this further? Or do we need a motion on this item? There's not a discussion item. Okay, so this is not a motion item this time. Is there any further discussion on this item? No? If there's no further discussion, yes, Janice?
Need direction.
Okay. Who wants, Mr. Wright, give directions to the staff? Yes, please. What is your direction? What would you like to do? Do you want anything further done on this matter, or do you want to keep the map the way it is?
I'm happy with the way it is.
The remainder of the council, Mr. Jenkins, keep it the way it is, or further direction?
I think I'd like to keep it the way it is right now. If we can add to it.
I'm happy with it.
Dr. Grossnickel?
I'm okay with it, as long as
Right.
if somebody want
we
to
can
add
Sure,
to it.
We can add.
Ms. Drake, okay. So keep it the way it is and bring it back as an agenda item. Thank you. I'm totally confused. Where were we? Item 15. Discuss and possibly act on changes for code enforcement. Mr. Wright requested this item be placed on the agenda, so Mr. Wright would want to explain.
Yeah, the reason I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda, there seems to be unequal enforcement. I think anybody that knows our system is activated by complaints, and complaints are normally mentioned because they're mad at somebody or they want to help somebody. And I don't think that they're consistently enforced. And I would like to see a more consistent way of determining who the violators are instead of just waiting for complaints, because I think Larry the cable guy would say, it ain't working.
Mr. Wright, any suggestions on what you would like to do?
I'm open to anything that would more consistently identify and enforce the code.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Talley to come up for just a second. Mr. Talley, based on what Mr. Wright is asking, do you have any suggestions for your department of how it can improve?
Without more specifics, it's hard to, that's really a broad statement.
Okay. Do you have a plan, a 5-year plan or something for your department? Or can we, if we don't have one, can we formulate one and see some of these issues if they can be addressed in it?
Yes, we are going over strategic plans now. Mr. Godwin had asked us to put those together. I'm sure that Chief Wright, Dale, Mayberry, my 2 immediate supervisors, will have a lot of say-so on that also.
Okay.
But as far as the complaints, when we get complaints, we go work them. So
I think that was what Mr. Wright's complaint is, that it's not consistent.
right, and as far as that, as far as the way that I see that we do things, it is
Privately,
consistent.
I'll be able to give you some examples if you really want them.
Yes, sir.
I think I have already, in fact.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
But please come back with some plans that we can discuss further.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jenkins, any comments?
No comments.
Ms. Drake?
No, sir.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No comment.
Mr. Frierson?
Nope.
I'm sorry, I said Ms. Drake, but I meant Ms. Lancaster. Sorry. Ms. Drake. Mr. Wright, how do you want to proceed further with it? Do you want to have them come back, or what would you?
I'd like for them to come back with a consistent method of operation, and so that it isn't complaint driven. If we handle murder that way, and a lot of murder cases have never even been looked at.
All right.
It doesn't seem I think the honor system died several years ago.
Okay. Mr. Mayberry wants to address.
Mr. Wright, we do, we took over code enforcement back in April, around April 1st. We have been working with code enforcement and trying to streamline some things, as well as being more conservative in some of the things we do. We were seeing, I believe you're correct in your statement, there were some things that we were addressing that probably didn't mean much, and other things we really need to be working on. And we are trying to streamline those things and treat everybody fairly. We do work hard to get compliance through cooperation, but sometimes by the time we chase down owners or occupants or who actually is causing this violation, it takes some time. Through that, I think Robert and his staff is really, I think they're running about 50 to 75 calls behind. So sometimes we may skip through some that aren't as important to someone, or more important code enforcement issues I feel like we need to address, mainly the fire code and the blight of the city that we're working on all the time. So if you have anything specific that you want to discuss, I'd ask you to come to my office and we'll discuss it, and I'll be glad to help in any way I can. There's some specifics that we're just not getting right now. But since we started in April, we have been working hard on making things, I won't say more equal, but we're trying to really address the problems we need to be addressing, and the ones that are really minor, we're letting them go because we have more important things to do. But they are running right now, if I'm correct, Robert, about 50 to 75 calls behind on complaints this time of year.
Mr. Mayberry, I have a question for you. Have we ever looked into other towns and see what best practices have been established on code enforcement in other places?
I do know in the short time we took back over code enforcement, being over them, I've even gone to some training with Robert. Every city's different. Some of them are more enforceable, or more on the enforcement side of it, where I think we're trying to get compliance through cooperation.
But I do see not every town's the same in that we know about and have visited with. But we all had the common goal, and that's to get rid of what the code and ordinances that have been adopted in the past, to try to work with the public on addressing those.
Thank you. Anybody else has any questions? Mr. Wright, do you have any questions for him? No. Okay. So you'll bring us something back to the council as to what suggestions you have for improvement? Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a discussion, there is no motion on this item, right, Mr. Wright? You don't want to? Okay, thank you. We move to the next agenda item, which is presentation from Retail Attraction. This item was placed by Mr. Frierson, so if Mr. Frierson wants to say a few words.
Sure, thank you very much. I think over the last few weeks we've gotten a really good insight into some of the things that make our local economy go and the different facets that encompasses. And a few weeks ago we had a discussion about the PEDC budget, which we did not approve and sent back to them for corrections with some recommendations specifically regarding the business incubator and then also retail attractions. Within that discussion, I felt as though we got kind of caught up, and this is my personal opinion because it was pretty easy to do with all the commentary that was going on, among the issues on really what we were talking about. And we heard Attorney General ruling, and we heard we don't want to do anything illegal and all those good things, and those are the right points to concentrate on. Those revolved around the business incubator. Retail attractions, and I asked Ricky Hayes to come this evening and kind of step right into the fire with us. And what I wanted him to do tonight was really kind of explain what his role is, how his relationship has evolved with the PEDC. Under the Texas Economic Development Act, it says that the Type A and Type B corporations can spend no more than 10% of corporate revenues for promotional purposes. And the Texas Attorney General concluded that a promotional expenditure, quote, must advertise or publicize the city for the purpose of developing new and expanded business enterprises. And that's an Attorney General opinion.
And what I've wanted and hoped for Mr. Hayes to do this evening is to give an idea of what his company does, how he promotes Paris, and really you haven't spoken to the council in about 2.5, 3 years, something like that, and really give the public an idea of what all goes into marketing Paris as a whole, and kind of how you go about that, the results that we've seen, and what the future possibilities really are. So, Mr. Hayes, if you don't mind, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Frierson. Mayor and members of the council, it's an honor to be with you tonight. It's a historic week in Paris. We get to go to the White House, which is a big thing, and Stephen Holmes got married. That's important. Am I right, Bob?
I didn't think about it that way.
Paris is my hometown. I've lived here for 4.5 decades and have been in Tulsa for a good bit of time now. And when Councilor Frierson invited us to address the council, it's always an honor to come home. I love this city. I appreciate your volunteer spirit and the work you put in. When we were first contacted by the EDC, Mr. Gilbert asked us to consider doing a market analysis that would outline Paris's retail strengths and weaknesses, not just in the city limits of Paris, but in Lamar County and in the what we call the primary trade area, which includes a much larger geographic area, including southeast Oklahoma and east to Clarksville, Winona, Avery area, and south to Cooper and around the west side to Honey Grove and almost to Bonham, and obviously to the Hugo area north. But as we developed that summary and presented it in 2011 to a public meeting, it was a part of a overall all-comprehensive plan that the PEDC board at the time, which consisted of guys like Pike Burkhart and Dan Smith and Rick Poston and others, who were trying to develop a goal, a work plan that would not only deal with growing the city of Paris and improving the quality of life in the city for the immediate time, but to take that out 5 or 10 or 15 years into the future. Our company, my experience in city government is with the Paris Police Department. That's where I started. There's my boss right over there. One of the best chief probably in the state, was tough on me, made a good man out of me, I hope. but taught me real quick that if I ever wanted to make any money, I need to get out of the police business and get into the private sector. Went to work for a city in Oklahoma that was 17,000 people. And one of the things about that city was, much like Paris, it hadn't grown in decades. The city limit population had not moved off 17 to 20,000. It was just there. The area around it had grown, and we started working in that city and recruited 4.5 million square feet of retail to that community and tripled the general fund budget of the city in 7 years. And a lot of folks will tell you retail is not really economic development. If you triple a city's budget, it's economic development. That's the creation of revenues to do what this council is called to do. We've been very fortunate to have worked directly or indirectly with over 125 cities in the country. We're currently working in New York, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Missouri. We've worked directly for cities, and when I say directly, I mean that the city or an EDC, or sometimes in rare cases a Chamber of Commerce, hired us to market the city. And we've worked indirectly in a number of other cities where a developer or a retailer or a site selector or a broker hired us to do a specific task in that company or in that city. In my time in Paris over the past 3 years, we've worked with multiple brokers, local brokers. We've worked with multiple local landowners, and Paris's EDC and city staff, who is well qualified and hardworking. And as you know, you don't just command the retailers to go where you want them to go. You present the sites, they choose what they feel like would give them the best return on their investment. The retail corridor is not defined by us. It's defined by the people we market to. And they say the corridor is an area from 271 North, around the Northeast Loop, to Lamar, and out 82 East, to Reno and beyond. And that is not something we've made up or we tried to convince them of. That's what they said when we began to market Paris to them. We've identified at least 5 good retail sites in that corridor. And I just want to reiterate the fact that retailers won't settle on a site. They'll leave a market completely if they can't find what they're looking for. And also the council should be aware that new retail deals are planned in cycles that are sometimes 1.5 years in behind where the development will occur. If I told you that IHOP wants to be in Paris, I'd be telling you the truth. They've been here multiple times. They want to be in Paris. But if IHOP came tonight for a building permit, it might be 1.5 years before they were open, as their due diligence and their own scrutiny would create the timing on that deal. Now, and I want to be very brief because we've been here a long time. My wife's here, who doesn't believe I ever worked. She's never been to a real council meeting, and I told her and my son it's an exciting thing. You should come. And here they are. You see how exciting it is. Great fun. But I want to just say that the PDC has never recruited a retailer. They've never spent a nickel on retail recruitment. They have hired our company to market your city. And the private sector investment that we've been able to procure and bring into town is because somebody out there liked the dynamic market you have. When I tell people that the Paris trade area is not 25,000, it's not 60,000, it's 150 to 200,000, and we can prove that by the volumes of retail sales that are occurring in our city, that creates a synergistic effect that pulls that private sector investment into town. I want to just say that Paris is very fortunate to have Steve Gilbert here. I believe that with all my heart. I believe he's one of the best economic development professionals in the country, and he and his capable staff have done a stellar job as the Skinner deal and other job creation efforts that this council has seen has proven. In closing, unfortunately, I cannot speak directly about several local projects that we're working on. One of the local news media asked me if the removal of our funding would affect those. in a negative way, and I can't answer that. I don't know if it will or not. What I can tell you is that for the past 10 months, we've worked diligently on a project with some developers and some local landowners, and that developer has told us that they have tenants ready to come to Paris. They have anchor tenants, junior anchor tenants, and tenants who are interested in the out parcels in front of the deal. And those developers believe that it will be at least a minimum of a $30 million investment just on the development of that site and the building of those retail structures. And I've included a memo in your packet tonight. I believe Mr. Anderson passed that out to you. If you look at the Paris ad valorem tax, we're not talking about sales tax, but the Paris ad valorem tax, PISD and PJC, as well as Lamar County, you'll see that $30 million investment produces a good return for the city of Paris and the taxing entities. The developers tell us that the gross sales in that developed area would be approximately $40 million annually, which means $500,000 annually to the city of Paris. And if you use PEDC sales tax at 0.25%, $100,000 annually to the EDC off this one retail development, as well as creating 200 to 300 jobs in that area. Now the question is retail development really economic development? And I would venture to say that as wonderful as the Skinner deal was and will be to the Paris economy, this development will provide more direct funds to your general fund budget than that Skinner deal will. Just saying. More direct funds to your budget because of sales tax. I can tell you that we will have more retail and additional restaurants located here in the next 3 years as a result of our efforts over the last 2 years. They're not through coming, they're coming. And I'm very excited about the potential in Paris. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, any audience questions, if that's permitted, as long as they're not mean. But it's been a joy for us to work here for you. I love this town. I was promoting Paris before Paris hired me because I believe in this market. I saw this market. My father taught me how to work in this market. He was a retailer. And we had customers from Southeast Oklahoma regularly spend their money with our family, and I know this market works. Councilor Frierson, can I answer anything specific other than that?
No, Mr. Hayes, I think realistically that's a really good overview, and that's kind of the point that I wanted to get across was that with our Type A funds, we are permitted to use for promotional purposes, and you're promoting the city, and we are not giving any sort of abatement or incentive to those retailers that choose to come here. They choose to come here because they believe in the free economy and they can be successful here.
That's right, and I think the city attorney brought up 380 agreements earlier. Other cities in Texas, and I just want to, in closing, say this very quickly. Paris is not competing against Bonham and Sulphur Springs and Mount Pleasant. Paris is competing against Dallas and Frisco and Southlake and Austin and Georgetown and those areas. And if we want to be different than we are, we got to do something different than we've done. And that's part of the impetus behind the PDCs involving our firm, I believe. And I might just tell you, that leakage, which we haven't talked about tonight, is monies in terms of people leaving this market to go buy goods and services in another market when those goods and services are not available here. There's not a woman in this room who has not been, probably in the last week, to Sherman or Rockwall or McKinney or Dallas to spend money that could have been spent in Paris, Texas, had those goods or services been here. And let me just tell you this. Our data indicates just in groceries, in Paris's secondary trade area, the big trade area, a leakage of $80 million, just in groceries. Another big leakage is sporting goods, $80 million on full-service restaurants. Significant leakage here, significant opportunity both for the citizens of Paris to enjoy and the city to recover some of those lost revenues. Again, I appreciate the invitation to speak. Great respect for each one of you, and best wishes, and hope to continue working for you in the future. Thank you.
I have a question.
Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright.
If you got 125 cities that you represent, how do you decide which one to give the plum to?
That's a good question. I don't ever see my wife for the most part. I work all the time, a great deal of time anyway. We have several employees, and we recruit from our offices in Tulsa, which is more of a, I don't want to call it a call center, but it is an energy workstation that recruits these retailers from one central location. So we can recruit from many cities. We don't work for 125 cities all at once. What I said was we've worked in 125 cities since we started our company in 2007.
How many do you represent currently?
I think we have about 25 under contract at this time.
How many are in Texas?
2. Paris and McAllen, just a short distance apart.
Mr. Jenkins, any questions?
Yes, I mean, I don't oppose the retail or nothing. I'm all for it, especially for growth. I mean, for businesses, I'd like to see, more factories and stuff like that. I mean, that's what's going to pay the bills. And actually, I hate to see retail come here and then have to up and leave if we can't support it.
We do a good job supporting the one we have. They do premium revenues. Your Chili's on the Northeast Loop does revenues similar to those in the DFW Metro, just FYI.
Well, I really feel like we still need to keep emphasis on manufacturing jobs. I just think those workers are the ones that go and
Totally
use your
agree.
retail areas.
And that's what Mr. Gilbert and his staff are constantly
I think that's
have
just
their ear
a
to them.
very important
Yes,
part of
ma'am.
this.
It absolutely is.
Dr. Grosnickle?
I think we should remember that the amount of money of the contract with Retail Attractions is a very tiny bit of what the PEDC spends. And in return, the potential large retail development that could happen to us one day would more than reimburse those costs in a very short while. So I really think that Retail Attractions has also, Mr. Hayes didn't say it, but I mean, you've done exhaustive studies of the demographics of this area, the retail, demographics of the surrounding areas, and that's very important. And when you can show these developers the amount of dollars that are leaving our area, I mean, I think that's a good selling point, and hopefully you'll have some success with that. And also, you have the connections with big developers who've, built plenty of shopping centers and strip centers with large anchor tenants of national stores and restaurants. And that's something that we need. I mean, we need those kind of connections. And if you have those connections and can bring them here, then I think that would more than justify your contract.
Thank you very much. I might address one point that was made earlier about competition factor. We've proven in multiple markets that the addition of additional retailers into a market in competition with others of like service, for instance, Home Depot and Lowe's in the same market, don't create a shortfall. They actually create a synergistic effect that pulls more shoppers into the regional market. I've proven that in multiple cities across the country. In Owasso, where our offices are, we had a Lowe's when I got there doing $40 million a year annually in home improvement sales, and Home Depot was the first retail deal we worked on when we got there. And my board and some city councilors and other folks in the city said, well, let me tell you what's going to happen. We're just going to have a $20 million Lowe's and a $20 million Home Depot. But what actually happened in Home Depot's first fiscal year of being open for business in Owasso, Lowe's volumes increased by about 17%, and Home Depot did $39 million. So we went from $40 million a year to almost $80 million a year in home improvement sales in that market, because consumers who were leaving Owasso to go shop and competitively with Lowe's now stayed in the market and brought their dollars too. And Paris is very much like Owasso in that a great deal of your tax revenue comes from people who don't use your services. People in Hugo come over here and eat dinner, and they spend their money here in their sales tax, but they don't use our water, our sewer, or tear up our roads. They just come and go. So it's a win-win situation for the city and your businesses.
Ms. Gray?
Well, I believe we've got to have a balance of both retail and industry for a community, because we've got to have the retail to bring in the industry, because they're going to look to see what we've got here and what we can offer. Let me ask you one thing. This other McAllen, how are they funding you, or is that confidential information?
No, it's public record.
Okay.
The city of McAllen pays me. We don't work for the EDC.
Okay.
We work with the EDC.
Right.
And help the EDC market McAllen.
Okay, so you have a contract with the city to promote the city?
I do, and we're in our 4th year with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have too many questions, but I'm going to ask you a couple of questions really fast. What is the total amount of grocery sales in the city of Paris? Do you know that?
I do not have that information with me. The number I quoted was leakage in the trade area.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So out of whatever groceries are sold over here, 25,000 people spend $80 million of grocery out of town? Is that what you were saying?
No. It means that in this trade area,
Which means not just Paris,
not just Paris,
all
not just
surrounding
Lamar
areas.
County, southeast Oklahoma and northeast Texas.
Okay.
There's a map on the handout that I gave you.
So the 80 million is not limited to the city
No,
of
sir.
Paris?
No, sir,
Okay.
it's in the trade area.
Okay.
But Paris supplies the greatest number of those sales to consumers
Okay.
in the trade area.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bye. Well, Mr. Fryston, your favorite item is here. No, actually it's not. We have one more to go.
Don't tease me like that.
Item number 18, consider and approve future events for City Council, City staff pursuant to Resolution number 2004-081. I'll say a few things. We have the next meeting of the CIP committee, so we need to post that because the council will be present. Anything else that comes to anybody's mind?
I know that we have been invited the 29th to Campbell's Soup.
Yes.
So
That's the other one. And do we have a Tuesday meeting this Tuesday or not?
We do not. I've contacted 5 different folks.
You let us know whenever that is there. Okay. Well, go ahead.
So moved.
Second. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
All